Thank you very much, gentlemen. So at the 20-minute mark in this game, I was prepared to open up this segment saying days 1 and 2 super crazy, but this one seemed like it just fell into place for TSM. Of course, right after I mentioned that to you guys,
we both did. Yeah,
everything goes wild. All rules of League of Legends go out the window. We extend the game to some craziness, and okay, ultimately TSM does win, but it is not in pretty fashion. G2 had their opportunity to take it there at the end, and it slips through their fingers. What are our gut reactions to this game? I mean, excitement aside, how do we feel about it?
I was in tears for the first 25 minutes of this game. I think I was just like looking at the screen like, Trick, why Trick? Why? Do something, anything. But he didn't gank bottom, he didn't gank mid. I think the first time we saw Lee Sin actually do something actionable was that top lane inseg.
It was like a clean early game from TSM with lack of action from G2. But then you get to a point of kind of inaction for TSM in the mid game, and that's where the G2 shot calling comes in and takes advantage.
Exactly, and because TSM had kind of fixed what looked like a lot of their issues, Svenskeren didn't die early game, Bjergsen was involved in early kills, you're thinking they got it before the sinking feeling sets in that they're going to lose yet another game because they didn't close fast enough. But, you know, history is written by who wins the game. So clearly, I don't know. That game was absurd.
And it's just funny that game kind of went exactly how I imagined it, in that, like, okay, we've seen so much of the early game.
You got all that? You had all that?
Like I dreamt it.
Not quite the ending, okay? But very much the early game of, once again, G2, 35 minutes passivity once again. TSM, this time it's the TSM that we did see earlier in the tournament once, actually playing smart in the early game. You look at the first 35 minutes, one mistake, maybe no mistakes by TSM, and predictably it gets to late game, things take a turn, and of course the Sven factor comes in, and then in the end that wasn't quite enough.
I got to jump in here because we got a lot of game footage to look at. A crazy end to what turned into a crazy game. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. Brought to you by Acer.
Oh my goodness, so this is probably going to be the whole sequence. I can't wait to see this again. So the whole call here is Syndra and Lucian are mid lane, so they just want to kill the Nexus, and the call is to stop recalls.
So I really want to take a look at the auto attacks that Sven actually puts out. I believe he puts in 3 auto attacks into Rumble while the Nexus is bare, but let's take a look.
All right,
okay.
Also note that he did want to walk off the equalizer right there. Yeah, he trades auto attacks right there.
He also dashes into the Rumble as opposed to just creating space and distance to keep himself alive. Takes some of that Flame Spitter damage, bringing him down to low health. But here, TSM responding as 5 to get those final kills.
And then here, you know Trick has his GA, so he's got some bright ideas. He did have his smite up as well. I would have wanted him to smite red buff for more health so he'd be able to make that run, because no one was going to find him.
You do like his waiting, because he kind of waits. He actually gets to see Ashe and Tahm Kench on the map before he goes in. And he certainly has a one-track mind. There's a proactive insect kick to kick the Rumble away from the Nexus of all things.
55 minutes.
I'd also imagine he's out of wards. Otherwise, you'd want to ward jump in to have your flash right at the end near the Nexus. But the end of it was tragic, and you do have to commend TSM for only recalling 1 here, so they'd have enough power to finish the Nexus.
And it was cute of them to actually use the redemption for damage onto the Lee Sin to just have, again, less auto attacks come through. At the start of this passage, when you saw on the minimap Sven and his cohorts going into mid lane, you thought that the backdoor would happen. You thought that it would actually be able to take it out, and it seems like if you scrutinize the replay, less damage into Rumble, and they probably would have got it.
It's so rare that like League of Legends actually comes down to milliseconds. We always say
auto
like
attacks.
A game of milliseconds, but 100% there. But super heads-up play by Hauntzer. I love the fact that he was kind of like guarding the Nexus. You could see that they had that in mind, that was the possibility there, and not just in his Nexus defense there. Hauntzer, this entire game was incredible to watch. Beautiful Rumble ults.
I mean, that's what we asked for, right? Performances out of Hauntzer and Bjergsen in those solo lanes for TSM to really propel them forward. But the other person we were putting on a spotlight was Svenskeren. Will he step up in the jungle and enable that top triangle? Well, guess what? He did that in the early game. Tracking Trick, making sure those early kills come through. Let's take a look at a couple of those early ganks and kills.
And I like that you brought that up, Dash, because we saw so often pings from where they thought the Lee Sin was, and they were correct basically 100% of the time. So we're going to finally get the tracking here. Trick has a nice angle.
Yeah, this is pretty crazy because it looked like G2 was going to be able to lock that kill down, especially when he's overheated right there. But Trick just decides to back away from the turret when he probably could have followed with a few more auto attacks and they get to kill. And then the extension of this fight was kind of the opposite. TSM misses a lot of skill shots and still end up getting the kill. Bjergsen doesn't even get an assist on this despite being close the whole time.
And there's the start of Hanser's like rumble reign of terror there with a nice equalizer on the back half of this fight. Just from bad to worse for G2 right at the very beginning.
And another one of these games where the rumble equalizer, where the rumble damage is the big factor. Doing 9,000 more damage than a poke champion, Jay so often will top the damage shot, just like Varus did for the majority of the spring season. But Hanser was really on point on the rumble.
And up to 40 minutes, beautiful gold grab.
Yeah.
That's what I love to see.
After 40 minutes, that's the sinking feeling you get in your stomach every time you predict TSM to win.
It's literally drawn for us.
I don't know about you, I loved that roller coaster right there.
Yeah, right up until the end. Then it was great.
And then it falls back in the other direction. But so while we talk about, okay, TSM will be happy to have the win under their belt, move to 2-3 coming out of the first round robin, even still, there's got to be some worry in the back of their heads for the fact that they couldn't close out a game that for the first 25 minutes was so clean.
Yeah, absolutely. And they found something that they're able to do, but still a huge amount of worry. I will say, even though TSM is a very resilient team, it's really good for morale when you win a game like this. You can second guess yourself and say you should have done a lot better, but when you look at the standings, everything that's in the past, and you're 2-3, what could very well be tied for third, you're very happy about that.
And I'm sure you're riding high on adrenaline. We're going to get a first look here to the players themselves. Oh, you've heard from us, but now it's time to throw it down to Shocks with TSM's man in the mid lane.
Well, thank you very much, guys, and I am joined by none other than Bjergsen. TSM got the win, and that is what matters, and I'm just going to let you talk about that game because I don't think I could do it justice.
I think it's pretty obvious that we're kind of struggling in the mid-game and pushing our leads. That was the main reason we lost against Flash Wolves yesterday, in my opinion, using our early lead, not playing the correct sides, but I think everyone was a lot more aware of that, and we didn't fix the problem, but at least there was a lot more communication, a lot more contributing from everyone, which means that we're going to get to the solution a lot faster. So I think the loss against Flash Wolves is going to help us improve a lot faster throughout the tournament.
It was a group effort to get better and to overcome this game. I do have to ask you kind of the calling in the last minutes of that game because one hit on the Nexus, obviously.
I mean, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, we just have to kind of go with something and trust it, getting the Dragon and running back to defend our base. You know, it's those times where you can't really practice it. You just kind of have to make a call and go with it, and it ended up working out for us.
Yeah, and the important thing is that you learn as you go, and you end now 2-3 at the end of kind of the first phase of the group stage. So technically, you could have the knowledge that you can beat any of these teams if it goes better, right? The ones under SKT. So what is kind of your general feeling about how things are going to evolve for TSM?
I don't think we were playing particularly well, but that we are still able to get leads and even able to win this game against G2 just shows that we can get out of groups. And I feel like we're not playing close to our level. So if we are able to play at our level, we should be able to beat all these teams. Though SKT is looking really strong, and they honestly put us in the dumpster yesterday. But I think we have a good chance to beat every other team. And who knows, even I think if a team has a good early game against SKT and can snowball cleanly, they can still win.
Well, very interesting. Finally, before we go, I don't want to fuel the fire too much, but this is obviously NA versus EU. It was a huge thing. You are the European over to NA. Do you have anything to say on the matter?
I don't want to shit talk or anything like that because I don't think we had a convincing win. I don't think we showed that we were the better team. You know, it could have gone either way. It's down to a few autos on the Nexus. So I think it's really going to show in the second game if NA is better than EU.
Ooh. Woo, we will see. Well, you guys are better right now. Thank you very much, Bjergsen. Good luck in the second phase of the group stage. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, there will be more MSI 2017.
Gets found out. Equalizer comes down for a bit of damage to this one. Recalls over. Looks for a bit more. Can they knock down Perks? The Cocoon's going to land. They're going to get the first blood, and it goes to Svenskeren. High attack speed and high movement speed builds out of bot lane. Now Trick has jumped on Cocoons. Going to turn into all the damage they need. So 2 for 2 Sven. Next up with the chopping block. Now Bjergsen dangerously low. Hextrigger pops the chase for Wild Tony's got a Redbug's got a kill. And it's a double here for the bot laner. Lash exhausted. Tongue Lash going to be there as well. The damage coming through. Syndra's going to die. And Bioffrost saves Bjergsen's life. Dual lane. Trio lane as Trick comes in for the nice one. That was beautifully played. The exhaust is on a Wild Turtle. Not long for the world. Kill picks up. Goes to Sven for the trade on Trick. Here comes a flash and then Minty with the exhaust in. The trade in. Looking for a bit of damage from Perks. And Bjergsen just takes him down. The double kill actually for Svenskeren. He's stolen away before. And he's not got a Sven injured. He's running away and staying alive. So TSM's pushing the top side. 20-second respawn. They're going to get him. They're going to get the damage. They're going to just in time. 50 minutes in, 15-second death timers.
Oh, holy fuck. And soon as I'm like, oh, what the fuck? What the fuck?